All right, with that, we have some time for Q&A, and I'll ask Paul and maybe Manoop to join in case if we have any more details. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, so thanks for reminding me. I do have a slide which I'll share quickly to give you guys a flavor of what we're planning for the next release, and that's exactly what we want help in this project. All right, so these are really the main areas. Is it coming up? Okay. These are the main areas we want to focus in the next release. So the main focus is in training, allowing users to use this platform to take a model, associate with a data set, run it, train it, and then bring it back in the catalog. So to provide this kind of automation. So for that, you need the data pipelines, you need the training capabilities, onboarding improvements, and things like that. Second big thing is licensing. We want to allow not just free models, but also models from enterprise and vendors that they can allow users to download and use a model which has license and they pay for it for monetization. There is enhancements in terms of security and more deployment models for capabilities for cloud, Google Cloud Platform, AWS, and then working with OpenShift and white box deployment. So it just gives you some of the idea what are we going to get in the next release, or we're trying to work with the community for the next release. Any other question? Is there any question on the web? Yes. Okay, so the question is, when you use federation, which basically allows you to share models with other Acumos instances, what is the maximum number of instances you can connect with? So I think my understanding is probably double digits or single digits. How many instances you can connect to maximum for federation?
We haven't tested, but it's peer-to-peer networking, so you should be able to, I don't know if there's a maximum.
From the technical aspect, we did not restrict to any particular limit, but however, we did not test how far it can scale. So it should be able.
So logically, there is no constraint, but we have used single digit level. We haven't gone to double digits yet. So. Okay. Okay, so it's a good question. So the question is, when you have a models, you've seen models in the catalog. What about if the model changes, right? Do you allow versioning of the models and support that? So yes, we do allow versioning of the model, and we anticipated this requirements from the beginning that a model will get enhanced, the model will get trained and retrained, and become different version of the predictor or a classifier. So you can have a model which essentially can have different versions of the same models. And it will keep a link with your previous original root model, but also allows you to get the latest or the greatest of that. Okay, so the question is there capability where you have a model which you have deployed and running, but then you see another model which you want to try and test it, right? Before you make a decision to deploy it in your production. This kind of capability, we have been talking about it in the next release, where it will allow you to do like a test harness or like a simulation of the model before you deploy it. We haven't. It has to be prioritized. Has to be looked at into the Boris release. But it is part of our complete roadmap plan to support that. Sure. So there's a question from the bridge. Can somebody read it?
Yeah, I'm very interested in your item 14, integration with ONAP, Acreno, and the RIC. I assume RIC means the RAN intelligent controller in the ORAN Alliance, which has open source work partnering with Linux Foundation as well. Am I correct there?
Yes, that's correct. So Mazen actually talked about it. He had in his opening presentation today, he had a slide that was showing how ONAP, Acreno, Acumos, and RIC are going to work as part of one ecosystem and be used for 5G use cases and other industry needs. So that is correct. It is one of our plans for the Boris release. We are working right now to identify a use case because 5G is new. There is no vast amount of data available, so it's a challenge in terms of working in advance ahead of the curve over here. But it is part of our Boris release. Yeah.
Okay, because from the ORAN team, we have at least about 20 members participating right now from Beijing. And perhaps we can set up a different time to discuss further as to how we can move more effectively in this partnership regarding the RIC that's on your list.
Yep, that sounds really good. Rich, can you take a note? I don't know the name of the person. Okay, thank you. All right.
Oh, this is Qilin Yi from China Mobile.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so the question is, what is the plan to allow support for PyTorch, Cafe, and is that Onyx? So Onyx is definitely part of our Boris release plans because we want a industry-leading model inter-exchange format. So Onyx is already in the plan. PyTorch and Cafe, I'm gonna ask Guy, is that in the plan for Boris release to support Cafe and PyTorch?
Yeah, well, we're still evaluating.
Yep.
So we're still evaluating which tools to support most strongly because we have limited resources. This is an open source project, so the entire internet can pitch in if they really have a favorite they want to play. Cafe is certainly up there. One of the things we'll definitely support is Onyx, and since there's a strong link between Cafe 2 and Onyx, you'll be able to create models in Cafe 2, export them to Onyx, and run them directly. So that's always going to be a possibility in the next release. Direct support in terms of client libraries, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
Just to add, on bullet 11 and 12, you see model.
Yeah, model item 12 actually.
We already discussed these ONX and Cafe, PyTorch.
Yeah, item 12 you can see has the Cafe and the PyTorch. Hey, but I mean, I think to be realistic, this is our complete set of list. At the end of the day, since it's a community project, it's an open source project, how much we get support from the community, how much developers, committers, code reviewers we get, that will define how much we will plan and lock for this release. So, but this is the complete set. Right, any other question? All right, so Ruben.